Welcome. This is Travis Childs from the History Museum in South Bend, Indiana. I'm the Director of Education and the St. Joseph County Historian. Welcome to Time Travels with Travis. I'm standing right now in the middle of John Hunt Plaza, right in front of the Morris Performing Arts Center in downtown South Bend. This part of South Bend is kind of the epicenter of where South Bend actually started as a town. We all around here in the Michiana area, the South Bend area, know the name Navarre because Pierre Navarre was the first European descendant to actually build his first home here, not far from here, just north of here. So along with Mr. Navarre, another gentleman also from Detroit came down here in 1823. His name was Alexis Coquillard. He was of French descent. His parents were French immigrants. He moved here in 1823, set up a small log cabin, and him and a business partner from a trading post in Fort Wayne decided to go in together and petition the government as well as the American Fur Trading Company for the rights to trap and trade all of what they considered the Upper Lakes. This was the Upper Lakes area, the Upper Great Lakes region. They got that contract. His name was Francis Comparet. He operated his trading post down in Fort Wayne. Alexis Coquillard, his business partner, operated his trading post basically right over my right shoulder and right at the LaSalle and Michigan Street intersection. And that's where Mr. Coquillard started his fur trading outpost here. He traded with the Native Americans, knew Potawatomi, knew some Miami language, of course knew French. He could not read or write. He could sign his name, but he could not read or write any language. Pretty soon, it wasn't very long after he started doing his trading business here and trading with the Native Americans and other fur traders that were here, that he got married. And he got married to his partner's daughter. Her name was also Francis Comparet, Francis with an I-S. Her dad is C-E-S, the last name is Francis Comparet. They get married, they have a son. His name is also Alexis Theodore Coquillard. But our Alexis Coquillard that we're talking about eventually started buying up plots of land around here in what would later become what we're standing on right now. If you had a business down here and you bought a tract of land right down here in downtown South Bend, more than likely the deed goes clear back to when Coquillard bought it from the land office. Now, Mr. Coquillard not only had his trading post and also didn't involve himself in real estate here downtown, he felt that this was a good place for a town to crop up. So he also was fundamental in getting the east and west races dug, as well as getting the St. Joe River dammed right not too far from here on my left shoulder around the Colfax Street Bridge and the Jefferson Street Bridge. There were no bridges across the St. Joe when Mr. Coquillard was here with his trading post. So he applied to the Indiana government to be able to operate a ferry across the river, and he was granted that charter, if you want to call it that, permission to do that ferry operation on January 7th, 1835. He operated it basically where the LaSalle Street Bridge is. You went down to the edge of the river, and whoever he had operating the ferry at the time would, for, of course, money, it was a toll ferry, would take you across the river to the other side. When Mr. Coquillard was here, across the river was another town. It was called Lowell, L-O-W-E-L-L, Indiana. Eventually, South Bend, of course, grew up and eventually annexed that side. Mr. Coquillard operated not only his fur trade, outposts, and also did a lot of land real estate deals and started his ferry business, but he also had a grist mill. He had one of the first flour mills here in town. And that was down on the outlet of the East Race, or sorry, the outlet of the West Race, downtown. Now, in January of 1855, it caught on fire, and it burned almost all of it to the ground. So In January 8th, 1855, after all the flames were out and the fire was finally put out, Mr. Coquillard went down and he was walking across the floor beams, examining the damage, seeing how much it was going to cost to repair it, and he fell 16 to 18 feet into the basement, and he landed right on his head. He only lasted about another hour of life. He never muttered a word and died from that head injury. The whole town at that time, the small town that it was, shut down, and they had a funeral procession from right around here all the way up to Notre Dame, where he is interred in the small chapel that is in the middle of Cedar Grove Cemetery on Notre Dame's campus. Mr. Coquillard, we can thank as being one of the town founders of South Bend. He was an interesting person. Along with him, it wasn't too long after Mr. Coquillard got here that Lathrop Taylor came here, and basically those two guys working together actually helped form South Bend and what it would become, and actually started South Bend on its trek to become an industrial center of what would later be the Midwest. South Bend has a very long history, and Mr. Coquillard, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Navarre, of course, were the three founding fathers that had a lot to do with the town that we live in right now. I'm Travis. Hope you enjoyed your time. We'll see you in the next time travel.